Hello, my little friends. I'm just going to do one real quick just because I have a chance to, but I've got so much going on. I had posted one a minute ago, and I didn't mean to post it. Can't believe that I did post it, but you know, it is what it is. I want to get a better understanding more of the bones before I start speaking about it, because bones are powerful. But anyway, I didn't bring it up. I erased it, so y'all wouldn't even know what I'm talking about, half of you anyway. So, but I did want to show you. I had somebody bring it up to me, you know, about the Freemasons, and they were concerned a little bit, and I love that they had concern. Praise Yahusha. But it was not something I asked for when it comes to the Freemason stuff. I just so happened to start cleaning my neighbor's house, and then come to find out, he was a Freemason. His dad was, his grandpa was, and he's got all the little books around. Well, then Jesus had I had started printing some books, some pages, and finding some very interesting stuff, information about Freemasonry, just out of nowhere. It would just pop up. Well, the library, the new library that was built down here in White Bluff, the windows to this library, I had been doing, Jesus had me on research on the Anton LaVey's daughter changing the Satanist symbol to the uppercase cross. That's what it looks like. Well, that's what these windows down here at the new library here in White Bluff look like. Their uppercase cross is very peculiar, and it just doesn't make any sense to me. You know, a thin little line of squares and a thin line of squares up here, not much sun can get through that, but it was built that way for a reason, okay? So I work in the church. I clean 2 churches here in town, and one of the churches that I was cleaning one day, and the lady says, "Hey Ashley, come down here, they got these cute little placemats and stuff set up, they're gonna have a little get together or whatnot, why don't you come look at it?" So I did. Praise Yahushua. Now see, this stuff like this happens all the time. I wasn't looking for this. This was beside each placemat. This card right here. This is in a church, y'all. This is in a church. This is in a church that in the music room, I already knew some strange stuff was going on because they had a picture of Elvis Presley in there, and Jimi Hendrix. And they had a picture of a Jim Carrey movie, big poster of it, in the music room of this place, this little church. So I already knew some very peculiar things were going on, because I would walk in sometimes, and people that were working in there through the day or whatnot, they would have the radio on, and the radio would be on rock stations, soft rock, heavy rock, in the church. I'm sorry, this stuff brings spirits. It brings spirits around. It does, period. There's a reason why there is music being fed to us through absolutely everything. Every building we walk into, every place we go into, there's music. But dude, inside this card, it's for honoring a grand conductress. There are worshipful masters. The WM means worshipful master. It's a chaplain as well. There's a chaplain in here. These guys are the ones that know. They know what they're doing. The worshipful masters, there's one in every town. They know exactly what they're getting into. They know exactly what they're doing to the folks around. They go to their bohemian groves. They're the ones that go and they get their conscience seared so that they don't pay attention to the guilt and stuff from doing what they do. These are the ones, these worshipful masters, every one of them. That is a ritual. It's a thing for them that they have to be in every town to move and operate all the right stuff, the right rituals, the right ways. Now mind you, the guy I clean for, he doesn't know about all the magic stuff. He actually brought stuff up to me one time, about supernatural. You believe in that stuff, Ashley? And you could tell that he didn't believe in it, that he didn't believe in the supernatural. So I know that he's not into a lot of the blood rituals that they're into, but he's still doing it. And here lately, I'm seeing people walk around, him including, with their phone backgrounds being the Freemasons, and their rings, and they're wearing their shirts and getting tattoos. And I'm telling you, they're just kind of right out in the open. But I got into Freemasonry looking into this stuff, not because I wanted to. It was just like, it literally came to me. Jesus brought Freemasonry to me. And then when he started talking to me about the ones that build all these places and these high places, and helping me realize that everything the Freemasons do is out of the Word of God, woo, that was it. It was over. I was hooked. I was hooked on exposing these people. And then my dad, after 14 years not being in my life, y'all, 14 years not being in my life, my dad is a turnkey carpenter. That means that he can do any kind of carpentry work. He's had his business for 40 years, okay? My dad, 14 years not talking to this man, comes into my life, and I'll tell you what, it's amazing. I don't get to have conversations with people that I live around about anything I talk about on YouTube, because they don't care, or I'm crazy, or they just don't want to hear it. But my dad comes into my life, and I'll tell you what, we're just about the fallen angels and the aliens, and and all the stories in the Bible. He's just very interested. Y'all, he came over and let me clean his truck out a few weeks ago, and he said, I was talking to him about Freemasonry, and I showed him this little card, and I told him I found this in a church, and he says, that was in a church? And I said, yeah, Dad, I'm telling you, they are set up everywhere, these Freemasons are. And it was a Methodist church, by the way. And he said, I don't like the Freemason stuff. He said, it's all, it's against the Word. I know it is, Ashley. He's like, now, I do like the Knights Templar. They're not part of them. And I'm like, Dad. But I don't know enough about them yet, the Knights Templar, to be able to say anything. I want to learn more. But anyway, I digress. So he said, but that was in a church? He said, did you know that yesterday I had 3 Freemasons come and personally work with me, just showed up at the job I was at, and asked me to join. He said, no, they've asked me 3 times to join them, and I've told them no each time. He said, and this time I asked them, he said, the main guy, he said, I told him, he said, I don't understand how I went to a funeral one time. He said, and the main guy got up at the top of the place, of the funeral house. And he said, and he was speaking to another guy. He said, and these guys both had these aprons on them that were made of goat. He said, now everybody around us had lamb's skin. He said, they wanted me to wear one, but I told them no, I didn't want that. He said, but the main guy, he had goat. And he said, and he was speaking another language to the other guy in front of us loudly so everybody could hear. He said, I asked this man that was trying to get me to join Freemasonry, why did they feel that they needed to speak another language in front of other people? And why are we supposed to put goat and lamb around our junk? He didn't understand it. He said, I just don't feel it's right. It's a cult. He said the guy couldn't answer him. He just said, and we just have rituals. It's not like it's going to change you, hurt you. He said, it's just rituals. And Dad's like, no, thank you. Well, the guy came back the next day, or a few days later. He was supposed to come back and work with him 2 days after I had cleaned the truck. And the guy, Dad talked to me later, and he said, he got in the truck, Ashley. He said, he asked me one more time when I joined Freemasonry, and I told him no. He said his whole demeanor changed. He tried a different tactic. He said his whole personality and everything, the way he spoke and everything. He said, I would really like it if you would consider joining Freemasonry. He said, we could use brains like you. And he said, in my dad's name, you will never have to want for nothing. And Dad said, what do you mean by that? And he said, you will have everything you've ever wanted if you would join us. My dad told him, you need to pray more to Jesus. And no thank you. He said the guy didn't speak to him for the rest of the day. They did their work, and it was over. They rode home pretty much in silence. Dropped him off at his vehicle. Bam. Gone. Look, I didn't ask for this, the Freemasonry stuff. But mind you, boy, when I found that stuff out, my weirdo and I were praying constantly for Dad to please don't, because he said, you know, Ashley, it just feels so right, some of the stuff that they talk about, you know, about the keystone. Like, Dad's a turnkey carpenter, so the keystone in the arch, the middle keystone, is the last stone that goes in, and it's supposed to be, if that stone is like altered or has a chip off of it or a crack in it, your whole foundation is going to fall. Well, it represents you. You are that keystone, and if you have a crack or whatnot, your whole foundation is going to fall. And so Dad's like, it resonates right in my body. You know, I'm like, I know, Dad. They're wolves in sheep's clothing. You know, they're bad, naughty figs. And that's kind of where this naughty fig thing has come about. Well, so I thank y'all for listening. And this is just one of the little testimonies of how I've come about on reading about the Freemasons and exposing them. And praise Yahusha, and remember, there is a church in every town that's got this right here going on in the bottom of it. Have a blessed day.